Hello everyone, this is Shining Noctals, and tonight I want to do a very special video regarding rather, Native American Indians and Europeans in the modern day. And I want to do this video because I feel like a lot of people, just like in the last video I did recently between the connection with the Irish and Scottish and Welsh and others of the British Isles, or I mean really Celtic Isles or Gaelic Isles or however you want to call them. Yes, that would also include some of the indigenous English as well. Um, I did a video on that regarding the connection with them in the classical world, such as Spain and Greece and the Balkans and things like that. But in this video, I want to turn my attention more so to the Native American Indians, which actually aside from my European lineage, I also have some Native American ancestry from the tip of Alaska to the bottom of Chile. And I want to do this video because I feel like it'd be kind of like a good homage, so to say, with a lot of the Native American elders who I've spoken to. I would say probably my Uncle Herman. At this point, he might as well be a Native American elder with the Cherokee, with how long he's been with them for over 40 plus years now, with the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians in North Carolina, with him recently receiving his pension. And also, I've spoken to another Native American elder known as Hiwopaisha Lee, and you know, um, she Native American lineage is of, or well, rather, she comes from Mayan, Lakota, Cherokee, and Hawaiian descent, as well as a wee bit of Irish ancestry as well. And so I want to really kind of, and she actually calls me a Rainbow Warrior, regarding all of my ancestry together. Even though I don't live, apparently I had some friends in the past who said, "Well, you're not a Native American because you don't live in a reservation," but she didn't really say that any of that was a requirement. Actually, no need for that or an enrollment card or any of that. And I think my old friend, I think she sees it from England. I think she sees it a little bit different now. For me, really, who I truly am as a Rainbow Warrior, and rightly so. And again, not it's not necessarily her fault. It's just she doesn't she doesn't really have the full scope of understanding of of the Americas, which it takes time to learn, and I can understand that. But anyways, but she is a really good friend of mine though. Like I really enjoy hanging out with her from time to time. But anyways, and she'll be emigrating here soon to the Turtle Island of America, or as some of the natives would call it, Anishinaabe. But yeah, I want to. But yeah, no, that's what Highway Pasha would call me, a Rainbow Warrior. With all of my ancestries kind of put together, and the native, the European. I guess native would also be connected partially to also Asia, and also even a wee bit of African, not just North, but an Egyptian, but even a little bit of sub-Saharan as well, a wee bit from both East and West. But yes, no, let me see if I can kind of share what I wanted to share regarding this video regarding, in particular, haplogroup Q and R. And I wanted to do this because I wanted to, actually, let me start off with kind of an image I got from, and I did it in my last video regarding the kind of the ancestry of the Native Americans when it came to haplogroup A and D. But I want to re-emphasize this because I think this is very and very, very important. You see how I used very, because it is very, very, very important. Okay, let me see if I can open this. Give me a sec. Okay, so if you guys see this image here, this is a Hungarian, or this was a Hungarian explorer. His name was Janos, and I hope I'm pronouncing the last name right, Morik, Janos Morik. And he was an explorer who, it was said he had gone down to South America in search of gold, back in the 1900s. And when he had visited Ecuador, which is a country in around the northwest part of South America, it's actually south of Colombia, I believe, and I can pull an image here just to show you guys. So Ecuador, for those who don't know, it's a country, yeah, south of Colombia. And I actually visited there, the country, many years ago with my mum and I, and we had a good time there. We also went to the Galapagos as well, which is off the coast. And I still have a picture book of my experiences there, which is good. But anyways, Janos, he spoke to different Native American tribes down in Ecuador, them being the Kalahari, Michu, or if I'm pronouncing this right, Mochica, and Puroha. And so essentially they could understand his native Hungarian. And, at the time he was a little bit surprised. It's like, how can these Native American Indians down all the way down here in South America, how can they understand my native Hungarian? And part of that is because it really goes back to haplogroup Q. Because haplogroup Q, you see how the haplogroup is covering most of the Americas, but it's, aside from haplogroup C, which is connected to more so the Mongols, and that's probably why the Fung Bros, they were saying, oh, the Native Americans look more so Asian in the north versus in the south, they look a little bit different. The reason why that is because haplogroup C was more so, I believe it was brought in by the Diné people. So, for example, they'd be Navajo. I think Apache was another one, and another Diné tribes, which were more situated in the north. Though some did go all the way down south, such as the Wabu tribe, in Colombia. This would be one example of them. Yes, that some of them had gone all the way down there. But aside from that, haplogroup Q is very much import. Not that haplogroup C isn't, but haplogroup Q is one of the original Native American ancestries, like one of the original Y-DNAs. Um, and so, and haplogroup Q really has this connection between well, let's start off with the Hungarians and the Native Americans, and then we'll go off with haplogroup R and Q and its connection to P. But yeah, let me see if I can pull this up here. So we're gonna talk about haplogroup Q first, because again, I think a lot of people don't really know about this, that haplogroup Q not only had an influence in the Americas, but it also had an influence in Europe as well, actually. So it says here, haplogroup Q is found predominantly in Siberia, Central Asia, and among Native Americans. Approximately 90% of pre-Columbian Native American Indians belong to haplogroup Q, and all descend from the branch Q1A2A1. And actually, I think part of my dad's ancestry, I'll see if I can pull it up here. Let me see. I'll have to go on my true ancestry, because you might find this interesting, because it actually showed up for my dad. It didn't show up for me, per se, but I think this is a very much import, so you guys can understand. Let's see. Gonna pull up my dad's ancestry here. Because, I got my Native American lineage from my father, so this would be, and then that would have come from not only his mother's side, but apparently his father also had a wee bit of a connection through the Native Americans with the Y-DNA as well. So you can see here how you have here deep dive ancient Native American Montana, 10,000 before Common Era, so that'd have been over 12,000 years ago. And then you see, I mentioned the mitochondrial DNA, which would be connected to the Jomon of Japan, the indigenous Jomon from the maternal side, and also the Y-DNA being Q1B1A2. But notice how this lineage is not only connected to Native American Indians, but it's also connected to the Bulgarians, medieval Bulgarians, Veliko, Tarnovo, Samovodina, and you see how it's very similar. It's Q1, but instead of being B, it's A. So it's instead of Q1B, it's Q1A in this instance. But notice how, let me see if I can pull this up here. So it says here, all descend from the branch Q1A to A1. So hey, that'd be the same as the Bulgarian match here. So there's the match with the Huns that probably came into Europe. Would have been that lineage. But let me see if I can continue pulling this up here. Or I know that another term is the Magyars. But I'm gonna see if I can continue sharing this, including various subclades of Q1A2 A1, A1. So, oops, my bad. And Q1A2 A2, yeah. Found chiefly in southern Sweden, 5%, Ashkenazi Jews, 5%, and its various isolated pockets of Central and Eastern Europe. Um, okay, and then you can see kind of the distribution here, where it's mostly actually very concentrated in parts of Scandinavia, so parts of Norway, Sweden, and a little bit of Denmark, and also southern parts of Sicily. And there's and then you can see some as you get further into Eastern Europe. There's also connection there as well. Okay, so oh, here we go. So it shows just the different lineages of Q1A. Q1A is more so Paleolithic Siberia. And there is some connection I have with Q1A as well, at least from the Native American matches I saw that were very similar. So here you see with A, Mongolia, Japan, Hungary, Poland. That's where my dad got that connection as well, rather. I know Bulgaria is not necessarily Hungary, but it's very close. Um, North Ireland, you see Scandinavia, Sweden. Then you got the Mongol Turkic branch, Paleo-Amerindian branch, um, Mexico, Scandinavia, Native Americans, Kazakhs, and the Mexicans also being Native American Indians themselves. And then here, Q1B, which was actually connected to the Inzik sample that my dad had the connection to, which with mitochondrial DNA would be from the Japanese Jomon, and then Q1B would be well, here you have the Middle East, and then I have to check Q1B1. Okay, the Middle East. Then you have Turkey, Ashkenazi Jew, Turkey, Iraq, India, Switzerland, Armenia, India, Central Asia, Portugal, and then Q1B2 you have Scythian and Huns, Pakistan, Tatars, and India, which is very interesting actually. So you have seems here with Q1B it had more of a origin points at Central Asia, while Q1A was more so Siberian. Though their origin together are essentially both the same initially, but this is where they kind of branched off. Then it says here, so Q1A2, the one match found in Bulgaria, found among the Mongols, Mesolithic Russian, sorry, Mesolithic Western Russia, main subclad of Native American Indians, found in Germany, Scandinavia, the Mongols, Kazakhs, Uzbeks, probably Mongolian and Turkic, Central Asia, Scandinavia, and then Q1B among the Tatars of Russia, Kazakhstan, India, Middle East among the Jews in Central Europe and in Sicily, found in Sicily, probably Phoenician. And that is very important, actually. I think later on we're going to talk a little bit about the Jomon and the Quechua, the Quechua of Peru and their connection not only to ancient Egypt but also to probably the Atlanteans as well, as Pat Flannery had mentioned. And I love the Quechua. They just have just such sweet smiles. Like if there's one Native American Indian group I really enjoy, it's them, and I'm actually connected to them. And they're always just such a always have such a good energy from that they emanate. And they have a term called Munaiki, which actually is called the energy of love. And ki actually has the same origin. The word ki, ki means energy in Quechua and also in Japanese. And Munaiki means the energy of love. And it's very interesting with the Quechua and I'll just mention this before we go back to Europe. But Munaiki really is the energy of love, and who was another group of people who really had really emphasized the meaning of love? Well, it was the samurai. And here's a quote by uh, Morohie Ueshiba. Hopefully I pronounced that right. And it says here, the true meaning of the samurai is one who serves and adheres to the power of love. So the samurai, their connection with love, and I believe this was the case when they had fought with some of the Mongols. I know sometimes it was a bit brutal between both of them, but I'm sure there were times where the samurai had showed love to their enemies, even when it was hard for them. Even when hundred thousands of Mongol ships, went under when were drowned in the sea. When they tried to invade Japan. Um, but yes, no, it's a connection to really understand the importance of love, and that goes in hand with the Quechua and the Munaiki, and then the samurai and the and their connection with love as well. So yes, this is very important between both the samurai and the Quechua, which go back to the Jomon. Um, and I'll talk a little bit more about them later. But anyways, so let's see here. Haplogroup Q is thought to have originated in Central Asia or North Asia after the last glacial maximum. So around probably the Ice Age. Q descends from haplogroup P, which is also the ancestor of R1A and R1B. And why is this so important? Why is this so important of understanding that haplogroup Q and haplogroup R1A and R1B both descend from haplogroup P? Well, I'm going to show you um, the haplogroups of Europe in the present day. Let me see if I can get it here. There was a good map that I had used in my previous video, and I'll see if I can. Let's see. I think even Bjorn actually used it in his channel as well. Uh, there was a better one that I had seen. Uh, oh no, this is the one. Yeah. So let me see if I can open this in a new tab. So notice here how R1B is more so, and I had mentioned in the previous video. Well, the previous video was trying to make more so of a connection with haplogroup I and J, as some of the indigenous inhabitants of Europe, aside from haplogroup R1A and R1B, with R1B being more so Celtic and R1A more so Slavic. But the purpose of this video, since we're trying to make a connection between the Native American Indians haplogroup Q and then the Celtic and Slavic ancestry here, we're gonna focus that in this video. So you see how R1B is more so situated in Scotland, Ireland, Wales, England, France, Spain, Portugal, Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland, and Italy. And this is more so really western or western central part of Europe. And then as you get further into the east, you see R1A, or the Slavic ancestry, starts to pick up, with Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Czech Republic, Austria, Croatia, Hungary, Poland, Slovakia, Serbia, Romania, Ukraine, Russia, Belarus, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, and you see how it starts to kind of pick up in those areas. And then you see haplogroup Q actually, which is also connected with the Native American Indians, and you can see haplogroup Q. See some of it is in Russia, but you can also see some of it also still is also in uh, Hungary, and you can see a little bit in Romania, and then there's a smidge in Bulgaria as well. And this is and it's important to share this because I think that many people don't realize that again, as I mentioned before, that there is quite an extensive connection that is very vast in this, or as my Uncle Herman would say, the Earth isn't flat, isn't just flat, which is true. Well, I know there might be, as Bjorn would say, there's still some flat earthers out there, so you know. But anyways, so it says here, um, Q descends, and I'm going to finish with Q, and then we're going to go to P very, very quick here. Haplogroup Q quickly split into two main branches, Q1A and Q1B. The northern Q1A tribes expanded over Siberia as the climate warmed up after the LGM. Last glacial maximum, or the Ice Age, some Q1A crossed the still frozen Bering Strait to the American continent sometime between 16,500 and 13,000 years ago. Q1B tribes stayed in Central Asia and later migrated south towards the Middle East. Okay, so that last part, Q1B tribes stayed in Central Asia and later migrated south towards the Middle East. I don't think that's all 100%. I mean, part of it is accurate, but I don't think they understand that aside from Q1A lineages going to the Americas, so did Q1B. Because as you can see here with the INZIC sample, it has specifically written here Q1B. So I think Eopedia might be partially wrong in that. I'll have to double check. But it shows how the Native American Indians not only had a Q1A lineage, but they also had a Q1B lineage. So both actually came to the Americas. It's like saying that R1A or Slavic ancestry was the only one who came to Europe, but that's not true. Celtic or R1B lineage also came to Europe as well. So that's important to mention actually. Um, yeah, I know Bjorn sometimes talks about the Slavs as well, and I don't want to put him down for that, but they're also the Celts too, and also of course the Norse and the Aurelians as well that go through haplogroup I and J. But anyways, let's see here. So haplogroup P, also known as K2B2, um, it talks about it splits into K2B1, found in Southeast Asia, which is interesting. It's also found among South and Southeast Asians as well as Oceanians. I think I remember my dad's wife Julie actually had a little bit of Oceanian ancestry. It was very small, but I don't know if maybe that could have had any connection with, with any of her ancestry. With unknown distribution and commonly found among Siberians and Central Asians. Okay, PM45. Oh, maybe there's some connection there. As in turn, the parent node of haplogroup Q and haplogroup R. Okay, so it's saying here really PM45, which is of a uh, kind of mainly a Siberian and Central Asian lineage, really is kind of the parent node of haplogroup Q and R. Okay, so Q being Native American Indians, Hungarians, and the Huns and things of that nature, and some of the Mongols, even though the Mongols are also connected to haplogroup C. And then haplogroup R, and haplogroup R would be again the Celts and the Slavs and other groups of modern day Europe and descendants in the Americas and other places. And as you can see here, the major subclade of haplogroup PM45, Q and R now include most males among Europeans, Native Americans, South Asians, so India, and Central Asians. And so, um, yeah, and here you can see Papua New Guinea. Just like to mention it. But okay, so here we talk about Siberian and Native American Q1A. Many of clades of haplogroup Q1A are believed to have been brought by the Huns, the Mongols, and the Turks, who all originated in the Altoy region and around modern Mongolia. Haplogroup Q has been identified in Iron Age remains from Hunnic sites in Mongolia and Xinjiang. Modern Mongols belong to various subclades of Q1A. Among those, the M45 has been found in the North Caucasus, in Poland, Hungary, in Northern Ireland, in Turkey, Iran, and Pakistan, and in Arabia. Q1A is also the main paternal lineage of Native American Indians. The testing of the genome of 12,600-year-old boy insect from Clovis culture in the U.S. confirmed that haplogroup Q1A to A1 was already present in the American continent or the end of the last glaciation. That's interesting because, again, unless if this is incorrect, unless if they did this incorrectly, it says here again that the insect was connected to Q1A, Q1BA, B, Q1B1A2. I'm gonna see here something because it's interesting how um, unless if they did this incorrectly, there's some kind of contention between Q1 B1. Yeah, let me look here because that's. I mean, sometimes websites are prone to error, but let me see here. Okay, so it talks about the maternal lineage, which is correct, D4H3A, which was what my dad had. But I'm trying to see here. Look, I'm gonna see if I can sub. Yeah, so the D is correct. QL 54. Q1A3A. Okay. State of Montana. QL54 descendant lines also include two Eurasian paternal lineages. The Central Asian QL330 lineage and Scandinavian QL804. QL330 is found in some men with rheumatoid. Let me look here. Rheumatoid Jews are a Greek-speaking ethnic Jewish community, one of the oldest paternal lines from Greece. Oh, there you go. QL, and maybe this has some connection with what has been speculated about the whole thing about the lost tribes of Israel. I know Hylopatia kind of rolls her eyes when people mention about that, but there might be some merits as far as at least with a haplogroup Q, origin, or there being kind of, so to say, a dispersal. Um, it says here in Greece, and there's also Scandinavia as well. There's Bjorn of Norway. Haplogroup KL54 is dominant to North Siberian populations, the cats and Selkips, which is pretty high. Okay, so that is interesting. It says here, I have to see where QL. Okay, it says here QL2 has not been identified in pre-Columbian groups in the Americas, but sporadically found among modern Native American Indians. Population sources and indigenous populations are European colonies, um, West Asian groups such as Iranian and Jewish populations, Sicilian, Iranian, diaspora, Azurian, Uyghurs of northwestern China. Um, that's interesting. Maybe they got it incorrectly. Maybe they meant to put Q1A instead of Q1B, but that is interesting. Um, but apparently it's saying that Q1A is more so Native American Indian and Q1B is more so Central Asian. Regardless, regardless of who's who, it seems like at the beginning there was more so a connection between Q1B and Q1A, and this is maybe where the whole thing about the lost tribes of Israel comes from, is from that lineage that dispersed long ago. So there might be some merit to that, or as the Lakota say, "Mitakuye Oyasin," we are all related. So I know some of you guys might be asking, what does this have to do anything with R1A and R1B? So I'm gonna try to see how I can really share this. Um, well, actually, before that, let me kind of finish this up here. Because Q still has some merits with in Europe anyways, even though if it's not haplogroup R per se. Let me see here because it says here in 568 CE, a steppe tribe known as the Avars arrived in Pannonia, which would be parts of modern day Hungary, claimed all of the former land of the Gepids and Lombards as their own. Avar Q1A. They established a Avar Khaganate and frequently raided the territories of the Byzantine Empire in the Balkans until 628. Although the origin and language of the Avars is unknown, it has been postulated that they were Turkic or Mongolian people from East Central Asia. Tested the remains of 5 elite male Avars from the Carpathian Basin dating from the 7th century. 2 individuals belonged to the Q1A. One of them was Q1A1, a branch found today in Hungary and Poland, as I mentioned before. Well, they mentioned Poland, but I definitely mentioned Hungary, but Poland's there as well. But descended from L715, a lineage which was also found among the ancient Huns. The other individual fell under the Q1A2 branch, the main Mongolian branch, was also identified in a few modern Hungarians. Both branches were also found among the Huns, which suggests a common origin to both tribes. Yeah, the Mongols and Huns. Yeah, and I guess, to me, honestly, when I think about Mongolians, I think really haplogroup C, but they also have a connection to haplogroup Q as well to an extent. So, both branches were also found among the Huns, yeah, which I mentioned. The other 3 Avar men belonged to a branch of N1C1 found in Mongolia and Central Asia. The Avar maternal lineage in the study were predominantly Siberian and East Central Asian origin, being more so C4A1 or C4A, C4B, D4I, and then the haplogroup C and D lineages are also present in the Americas, not under these exact, numbers, but C and I mentioned about C and D actually. It's actually uh, most strongly seen in actually with the Mapuche in Patagonia, and maybe this is why some of the one of the well, Hungarian I actually spoke to a while back. I think he felt a connection with the Mapuche. So I'll show you an image of them because I feel like the Mapuche are also connected to the Jomon as well of Japan. But I could see probably why they could feel that connection too. For example, with the drum, showing the four directions, and I believe the Hungarian drum is very similar actually, with the four directions. I'll see if I can find it here. The Mapuche and well, at least one example aside from the Jomon. Let me see. It's sometimes a bit hard to find it. I don't know why. Oh, wait. Yeah, here. See this drum, the different directions in a way. The man here actually looks a little bit like a Native American Indian, and so that probably comes from that lineage. Let's see. Okay. Let me see if I can continue sharing this. Okay, so both comprise a substantial minority of East European lineages too. Region steppe, and then it says here Scandinavian Q1A. The oldest evidence to date of the presence of haplogroup Q is Europe RQ1A2, and Mesolithic Latvia. Uh, Talks about ancestral to the Yamanaya. Q1A2 could have traveled alongside haplogroup R1A via Poland, R1B via the Danube, Scandinavia, or have been present there since the Mesolithic, as in Latvia. Both scenarios are possible. Modern Scandinavians belong to two distant branches of L56. In either cases, all modern carriers of each branch seem to descend from a single ancestor who lived only some 3,000 years ago during what was then the Nordic Bronze Age, and that would have been well after haplogroup I was in Scandinavia. Because I think haplogroup I has been in Scandinavia for a much longer period of time, and that's what I was trying to also mention in my previous video in conjunction with haplogroup J. Um, but let me see, because haplogroup I was really more so the Norse lineage. It says here late Neolithic. Well, it does mention the Bronze Age as well, but it's been in Scandinavia for quite some time. Let's see if I can pull up this origin. It says here the oldest attested evidence of post-glacial resettlement of Scandinavia dates from 11,000 before Common Era. Cover 5 Y-DNA samples from Mesolithic Sweden, dating from 5,800 to 5,000 before Common Era, all turned out to belong to haplogroup I2. Y2 is also connected to Sardinia and also the Neolithic Balkans, which I mentioned in my last video. And I think even Bjorn mentioned something about that as well regarding the indigenous people of Scandinavia, and that would really go with through the haplogroup I lineage before the Slavs and things like that. Um, so let's see here. Maternal equivalents of that Siberian Q1A2 and prehistoric Eastern Europe are probably mitochondrial haplogroup C4A and C5, which have been found in Mesolithic Karelia, and then also the haplogroup Mitochondrial haplogroup C is also found with the Mapuche. Um, but the Carolia, I think I might have some ancestry, like, because I found I had a wee bit of Finno-Uric ancestry that I think I inherited probably from my father's ancestry. I'll see if I can find it here. Carolia. I think there was a little bit I had. Yeah, so this would be them. You know, as I look at her closely, I didn't think about this before, but she does look a little bit similar to some of the Mapuche. Let me look again. I can see it. Yeah, I can see it a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, no, I can see it. Yeah. Just how they kind of appear. Which is not a bad thing. It just shows there's that ancient connection of ancestry that really goes far into time. And I think there was one group that I saw that they had a symbolism that was almost identical to the Mapuche. And I'll see if I can find it here. It was almost identical. Let's see. What was it? It was something. It was. I don't know if it was this group or if there was another group. Because there was like the Mansi. There were different groups. There were the Mansi, the Carolinians, different groups, but they will. But there was something I had. Um, Give me a sec. Thinking. There was something with one group because there's the Carolinians. There's also I know there was the Udmurts as well, but there was one group that I had found that they had some kind of symbolism that was almost identical to the Mapuche. Let's see if I can pull it up here. I know the Jomon also or the Ainu have some similar symbolism as well, but I think this would be more so through the haplogroup C lineage that they had come from, with D being the Jomon and C being more so be connected, I think, with some of the Uyghur tribes. What was the symbolism? It was something I had seen here. It was yeah, something like this. This symbol is almost exactly the same as another group I had seen. It wasn't. See if I can. There was something. You know, this circle also. I mean, I know some people might try to attribute it to like a Celtic circle in some ways, but it also has a connection with. It reminded me of the Quechua, like when they were the Keru when they were trying to bring everyone together and they would hold their hands. I remember it was something of that, but this is more so. In this case, it'd be more so Finno-Uric. Trying to. Yeah, it'll probably come to me eventually, but I know there was some kind of connection there with the Mapuche and one of the groups here. Um, I know there's at least like an image with the Sami and Mapuche as well, which would be seen here. So you can already kind of see that connection between both groups. Okay, it says in Neolithic Dnieper Donut culture in Ukraine, Bronze Age catacomb culture in the Pontic Steppe, mitochondrial seeds found among Siberians, Mongols, and Native Americans who happen to share Y haplogroup Q1A2 on the paternal side. And again, maybe that's sample I got could have been partially incorrect, or I know I have plenty of Native American haplogroup samples connected to Q1A, or even like I think my dad. If you look at like the Native American samples, I think I'm gonna have to see if any of them were Q1B. Let me look, because I remember showcase this a while back. Okay, Athabascan Q1A, and you can see this in Mongolia, Ukraine, Korea, and then here's Bulgaria, Hungary, Kazakhstan. Where was it? I'm gonna keep checking here. B2, B2. Yeah. Okay, I can't see Q1B currently among these samples, but let me check a little bit more. Okay, here. There is Q1B here. So Q1B, so it shows that not only Q1A traveled across across into the Americas, but also Q1B. I mean, unless if this is wrong, but I don't think it is because it says here Q1B, Chile, Dominican Republic, Inca, Child Mummy, Inuit, Athabascan, Ancient Russia, Denmark, Viking, Siberia. Um, no, I don't. Yeah, I think both Q1A and Q1B both, I think, traveled across the Americas. I mean, unless if this is wrong, but I don't think it is. They might just have not have updated the info on this. But okay, so I wanted to just quickly wrap that up. Um, okay, and then it says here Central Asia and Indo-Iranian, while Q1A is more Mongolian, Siberian Native American. Q1B1 appears to have originated in Central Asia and migrated early to South Asia and the Middle East. The highest frequency of Q1B1 in Europe is found among Ashkenazi, Sephardic, suggesting that Q1B was present in the Levant before the Jewish diaspora 2,000 years ago. In fact, Q1B Jewish Q1B all belong to the Y200, 2200, just formed some 2600 years ago. Found throughout the Middle East, Armenia, Turkey, Iraq, and Lebanon, and isolated places settled by the Phoenicians in southern Europe, Crete, Sicily, southwest Iberia. This means that Q1b must have been present in Lebanon at least around 1200 before Common Era, a very long time before the Hunnic migrations. One hypothesis is that Q1b reached the Middle East alongside haplogroup R1a, which would have been more so Slavic, with the Indo-Iranian migrations from Central Asia during the Late Bronze Age. The age estimates for the Middle Eastern Q1b1 branch is 4,500 years ago, which correspond roughly to the beginning of the Proto-Indo-Iranian expansion to Central Asia. The other branch, Q1b1, is found in Central Asia, Iran, Pakistan, India, a distribution that also agrees with an Indo-Iranian dispersal. Q1b1 was probably not one of the original lineages of Proto-Indo-European speakers of the Pontic Caspian steppe. Q1b1 probably settled in the Levant at the same time as R1a, Slavic. Both lineages are found among the Jews, Lebanese, and the places historically colonized by the Phoenicians. These populations lack Mongoloid mitochondrial DNA. Presence of Northeast Asian admixture can only be explained by the 2% of Q1b1 among Levantine men, the only paternal lineage of Mongoloid origin in the region. In contrast with Q1b1, Q1b2 is found almost exclusively in the Indian subcontinent. Let's see. Okay, that's interesting. Q1b1 branch split from others some 15,000 years ago. Since the end of the ice age, long before the Indo-European migrations, and then here it shows you some images of people with Q1 lineage. One of them being J. Roberts, Oppenheimer, Deepak Chopra, Larry David, and Tony Kushner. It gives you other connections here. Surprised they don't have any like Native American Indian just there. All right, so that is a kind of the at least the haplogroup Q, and again, it connects with Europe, you know, due to the migrations of the Huns and Avars and different groups into Europe. But again, some people might say, well, how does this connect with haplogroup R1b and R1a? And so I said, you know, well, even as it said here in the article, sometimes haplogroup Q would travel specifically along with R1a, which again would have been the more Slavic lineage. And then as far as R1b is concerned, well, it says here could have also Q1A2 could have traveled alongside even R1b as well through the Danube. So there is that connection there. So they could have at some points been traveling side by side. And I think when I looked at some of the Hun ancestry, it was really like a mixture of, I think, R1b, R1a, and Q. So it was a mixture of Celtic, Slavic, and Turkic. But I'll have to see to make sure. Let's see here. Yeah, because you can see here, they also have haplogroup N as well. There was something about Q, because you see here, Q1A3, and then they went into Europe. And then also, you know, they had also gone to the Americas as well. But Let's see if I can find another. I think another good one would be ancient North Eurasians. I think this was another one I wanted to kind of show. Yeah, so it talks about the ancient North Eurasians, which is where really the haplogroup Q and R really kind of split from, would have been from this group. And it talks about, says derive around 2/3 from an early West Eurasian lineage and around 1/3 of their ancestry from East Eurasian. 20,000 to 25,000 years ago, a branch of ancient North Eurasians people mixed with ancient East Asians, which led to the emergence of ancestral Native Americans, ancient Beringian, and ancient Paleo-Siberian populations. It is unknown exactly where the population admixture took place, and two opposing theories have put forth different migratory scenarios that united the ancient North Eurasians with ancient East Asian populations. Says it spread throughout Eurasia and the Americas in various migrations since the Upper Paleolithic, and more than half of the world's population today derives from 5 and 20 and 42% of their genomes from the ancient North Eurasians. Significant ancient North Eurasian ancestry can be found in Native Americans, Indians, as well as in regions of Northern Europe, South Asia, Central Asia, and Siberia. It suggested that their mythology may have featured narratives shared by both Indo-European and some Native American cultures, such as the existence of a mythical world tree, sounds similar to Yggdrasil, and a fable in which a dog guards the path to the afterlife, or, well, there's also Cerberus. Um, but Yggdrasil, um, I mean, there could have been a connection with R, but I think there definitely was a connection probably also with I and J too, at least when it comes to the rainbow. But no, I think, but I could see some of it overlapping. Yeah, I could see some of it. Um, yeah, because people would mix over time, and especially as the thousands of years would go by. Um, says the ancient Norse. Let's see. I remember this was kind of an image that I was watching. Um, kind of a Dutch lady from the Netherlands. She was talking about some of her indigenous ancestry. She kind of held a kind of a clay figurine, if you will, or clay statue of kind of a what was meant to symbolize like a mother goddess conscious kind of symbolism that dated back 23,000 years ago. And this kind of reminds me of something similar to that. You can see the dispersal here. Comparative mythology. Let me see if I can find it here. Here's Gardog was located in the Milky Way, perceived as the path of souls in the afterlife, and getting past it was a test. The Siberian Chukchi and Tungus believed in a guardian of the afterlife dog and a spirit dog that would absorb the dead man's soul and act as a guide in the afterlife. Indo-European myths, the figure of a dog is embodied by Cerberus, Savari, and Gumar. Oh, then Gumar would be in Norse myth. Excuse me, is a wolf or dog associated with both Hel and Ragnarok, described as a bloodstained guardian of Hel's Gate. And then Sharvari also renders Shabala and Shamama are two Hindu mythological watchdogs belonging to Yama. Zoroastrianism, 2-4 eye dogs guard the bridge of the afterlife called Chinvat Bridge. Anthony and Brown noted that it might be one of the oldest mythms recoverable through comparative mythology. Kick. All right. But you can see the connection there already between kind of the different, kind of, uh, kind of different origins, or rather, mythos, kind of shared between different Native American and Siberian tribes, as well as different people that eventually migrated to Europe. I'm gonna see if there's anything else I wanted to share. Okay, so before I end the video, I wanted to quickly talk about the Quechua and the ancient Egyptians and the connection to the Atlanteans before I end this, because um, I think this will be very interesting to kind of share the connection between both. Um, and it kind of reminded me really of, and I'll post the link in the video and the description of the video of Yugi versus Darts, and because I think this is very important to understand that the Native Americans, although they had a connection with Q and that had a connection with R, the Jomon, in particular, were a little bit of a different. Well, they were connected, to be sure, but they had their own kind of lineage through. Well, they had haplogroup D on the maternal side, but on the Y DNA they had haplogroup D. And actually, I myself was connected to the Jomon as one of the prominent groups that I had, probably through my Native American lineage, even more than the Athapascans and the Siberians. And I will see if I can pull this up here. Um, yeah, Egyptian or Asian Egyptian and Peruvian connection. So there was an article I had read, Atlantis, something. Yeah, here's the article. The enigma between Inca and Egyptian culture, and this would go back to haplogroup E, which was despised by, and I would just call him what Bjorn calls him, the man with the ugly mustache from the Socialist Party. Haplogroup E is connected to for example, the ancient Egyptians of ancient Egypt, and then haplogroup D would be connected to the Japanese Jomon, so the indigenous people of Japan, or including the Ainu, who were the ancestors of the samurai, and they're even connected to an extent to the modern day Nigerians, with some of the Nigerians having haplogroup D. And maybe I'll post it too in the video description, where there was a video where I saw there's a Nigerian that went to Japan and he told the Japanese his name and sounded very much like a Japanese name. And then he mentioned the word Edo was a word in Nigerian, and that's also part of that's a prominent name in Japan as well. And so, but anyways, let me go and share the connection between the Inca connected to the Jomon, the Japanese indigenous Jomon, and the Egyptians. The distance between the two civilizations is more than 9,000 kilometers, and yet there are more similarities that can challenge any hypothesis in our time. The techniques and customs that unite these two powerful cultures are diverse. Both are united by the same characteristics in a remote times, known as the Victorian era. It is held that both cultures can be descendants of the same father, called Atlantis. Plato told about the existence of a mythical island located beyond the columns of Hercules, corroborating the existence of this father. Today, this theory is rejected by historians today, however, the enigma is still latent. Let us see the great similarities between these cultures. The llamas and the camels were useful for transportation. The llama was sacred as it was used for sacrifices. architecture. They built stepped pyramids aligned with the cardinal points. In addition, they had great eagerness to reach perfection in their works. Similar jewelry, they adorned their dead with gold accessories of animals at the ends. The animals symbolize balance, power, peace, and eternity. Mummies. Mummification symbolized life beyond death. Crossing the arms of the mummy showed a state of equilibrium. In both religions, the sun symbolized a deity, which is true, Enki, and then Ra. In Egypt, it is called Ra, and in Peru, well, the sun god, or it'd be Enki would be one of his names. Oh, it sounds very similar to Entei, actually. Entei. Entei is also um, a word in Japanese which is connects with fire. Well, also the Pokemon as well. But no, it sounds very similar to Entei, actually. Yeah, it's Emperor of Flames. En meaning flame or blaze, and T meaning emperor. Oh, you know what? Maybe that could also mean what NT means in Quechua, NT. You see the same thing. So Emperor of the Sun. See, here in Japanese it's Emperor of the Flames. Um, but in Quechua it'd be Emperor of the Sun. See, so that would make sense. That connection there. I might add in the description to the video, also, or in the title, might also see if I can add Egypt and Japan and things like that as well, Peru. But yeah, no, I just wanted to share that real quick because I thought you guys would find that interesting. Okay, so it says here, let me finish this article and then we'll wrap up the stream here. It says here, Temple of Three Doors, they symbolize the balance of our temporal being and eternity, a current phenomenon used by architects of Gothic cathedrals and masons. Um, Enigma between Inca and Egyptian culture, more than 9,800 kilometers distance between civilizations, but despite such a distance, there are many similarities between them. Both cultures were descended from the same father called Atlantis. Plato also told about Atlantis and the existence of a mythical island. These hypotheses are rejected by historians, but the enigma remains latent. A single mystery, haven't you noticed it yet? Yet see these similarities. They built step pyramids aligned with the cardinal points. In addition, they had a great eagerness to reach perfection in their works. Similar jewelry, they adorned their dead with gold accessories with animals at the end. The animals symbolize balance, power, peace, and eternity. Mummies, mummification symbolized life beyond death. Crossing the arms of the mummy showed a state of equilibrium. Trapezial doors, similar to the triangle, these denoted spiritual transcendence. In addition to their great significance, they offered seismic protection. Llamas and camels were used for transportation. The llama was sacred as it was used for sacrifices. The sun symbolized a deity. In Egypt, it's called Ra, and in Peru, Enki, or in Japanese, Entei, which is again Emperor of the Flames, or in Quechua, Emperor of the Sun. You see, very similar, almost identical. Temple of Three Doors, they symbolize the balance of our temporal being in eternity, a current phenomenon used by architects of Gothic cathedrals and masons. And speaking of which, before I end the stream here, I want to, aside from Akira Toriyama, who passed away, the creator of Dragon Ball Z, I'll show him an image of him here. I also want to mention Akira Toriyama as well. So let me see, or aside from Akira Toriyama, let me mention Kazuki Takahashi. So this is what my uncle's kind of silly because my uncle was like, he looks like a Mexican, but part of this goes back probably to the Jomon ancestry as well. And the Jomon, they well, Kazuki has since passed away, but I still run my eBay store where not only sell Pokemon cards but also Yu-Gi-Oh cards as well. Even though he has already crossed the Nile, I still share, his artwork. And yeah, no, he probably knew something, connection between between Egypt and Japan, ancient Japan and Peru. And if in actually the 5Ds era, he had a lot of inspiration that was really um, kind of pointing to kind of different cultures in Peru. Like he mentioned about the Dragon Temple and the Nazca lines and a lot of other things as well. Um, but I'll see if I can pull some of this up because he had mentioned. Yeah, I'm gonna try to find it, but no, because he probably knew there was a connection between the three civilizations between ancient Egypt, ancient Japan, and then also ancient Peru. Yeah, that they were all connected. Um, yeah, Stairway to the Dragon Star. And then it says here in the Japanese version was a pre-Inca civilization located in the Andes and is where Alistair originated. It was created 5,000 years before the present day. Events in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Alistair was formed here 3,000 years ago. This was an altercation as Alistair's leaders and men are from the original future and were changing events in the past. Stairway to the Dragon Star was ruled by the Star Dragon King, who prayed to their god Dragon Star for salvation from the wicked disturbances that had been terrorizing the people. The Dragon Star responded by appearing in the form of Crimson Dragon, created servants who were led in aid in sealing the evil disturbances within the earth and the Nazca lines. When it talks about this, the Crimson Dragon appeared during the Fortune Cup finale, while the five marks of the dragons were present: Yusei Fudo, Jack Atlas, Luna, and Akiza Izinski. My bad. A bit of trouble pronouncing that last one. But I'll actually link a 5Ds kind of video here as well. So I'll post the Atlantean one with Egypt and then the Peru and 5Ds, and yeah, I'll show both. We're shown a vision of the past and a vision of the future. In the past, the four of them witnessed the five original signers standing on the stairway to the Dragon Star with the people of the stars bowing before them. In the future, they saw a giant geoglyphic made of flames, assuming the shape of a spider-destroying satellite. It is also known that the chamber that is located at the top of the stairway is where Roman's severed arm containing the head birthmark currently resides. After the king of the Netherworld revives, it heads to where New Domino City is, as Goodwin's Condor geoglyph has appeared. And then it talks about the kind of the ending of that. Um, but anyways, I wanted to share some of that, and yeah, and then I will. I think in one of the videos as well, I mentioned the healing connection between the condor and the eagle coming back together. I will see if I can link that also in the video as well as like the third video or third link. But aside from that, guys, I think I'm going to end the stream for now. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found this video interesting, and I'll be